Marcus, how do you sum up last night's effort the next day?
Yeah, just a bit of empty feeling coming into the end of that game. We did well, we fought hard, got close, but yeah, obviously not the result we wanted.
How about taking the game deep? That's been spoken about a lot. And what was it like for you out there, taking the game right to that final over and even seeing off Shami and Bumrah? I mean, a lot of people in the stands were going, why aren't you going after those guys? But I guess that was the plan to get it deep and take on Shankar at the end.
Yeah, the plan was changing as we lost a few wickets and as they brought different bowlers back that I didn't expect them to bring back as early. I thought probably if we didn't lose 2 wickets in Bumrah's second last over, then he would have been safe for the end. But then he came back again. I thought, well, then if we lose another wicket here, then that's the end of the game. So I thought it's better to take it deep and see what happens at the end rather than lose it with 3 overs left.
After a game like that, what's JL's message?
We haven't had a debrief yet. We're going to do that, I think, when we get off the plane. But all the players, we're just having to think about where we think we can improve and things we can do better from there, and then we'll chat about that this afternoon.
Okay. What about you, like personally? Like, when you came back in the rooms, did JL have any sort of chat, or?
No, not yet. No.
Have you left alone? Or?
Yeah. I think when emotions are going, it's probably best to let that settle and then have a more relaxed conversation the next day.
Yeah, and like waking up, do you sort of, I suppose, reflect more on the innings? Like at the time, it's obviously devastation that you lost, but now do you sort of, thinking back, think, it's quite a good innings? Yeah,
you almost just probably pick apart a few things and think of things you could have done better in different situations. So, hindsight's a beautiful thing, so you just got to try and make it up as you go along and learn and add it to the experience. And then you've got guys like Stoinis who've played, I think, 300 games, so they've got a wealth of knowledge there.
Are there any sort of big what-ifs or any kind of regrets in the innings, that things you wish you did differently that come to mind? Or?
Most of it's hindsight stuff. Most of it's stuff that you think, well, if the partnership goes longer or if you take a risk earlier and all that sort of stuff. It's and then you don't know what's going to happen anyway.
Now you mentioned MS. I suppose like a lot of the Indian guys, just how much are you guys learning, sort of just seeing these guys up close, and obviously played a little bit against them in the past couple of months?
Yeah, we've played against them a lot. And seeing 2 of their best players, or 2 of the best players in the world, and they play very different roles, but they make sure they get the job done for the team with Virat and MS. So, yeah, there's things to learn from them, and probably fortunate we're playing them so frequently leading into a World Cup.
Now, how does that sort of process practically work? Like, is it just you personally now sort of think back and, geez, Virat did this well or that well, or does Justin actually get up and say, well, this is Virat's innings and these are the sort of things I want you to do? Or?
No, I think JL might have a few things himself, but at the end of the day, I'm 29 years old. I'm playing for Australia. I've been playing for a long time. The boys, we've got Gary Lyon in there, who's Australia's best ever off spinner. We got Zamsi, Maxi. We got a good team. So it's up to us to make sure we learn. We don't need to rely on someone to run us through that sort of stuff.
What do you reckon the best role for you in the one-day team is? You were 3 in the first game, batting down the order in this one. What do you reckon you're best suited?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think just make sure I'm versatile and adapt to the situations, and just depends on where the skipper or the coach needs me to play. It's probably something we're all figuring out at the moment.
What do you like doing? Do you like going up the order and taking on the new ball, or do you like being that sort of closer?
If you asked me a couple of years ago, I definitely wanted to be up the order more. But now I've really enjoyed that role of closing, or trying to close games and take the game deeper and batting with a tail, and it's a different challenge in itself. So I'm enjoying both ends of the spectrum.
What about with the ball? Just the one over the other night. A bit different in India, I suppose, bowling in these conditions.
Yeah, it is. And the fortunate thing is we saw how well Maxi bowled in the game last night as well. So that's a big plus for the team. If we can get through 9 or 10 from a Maxi or myself or whatever it is, it adds a good balance to the team.
Just how tough is that sort of challenge of adapting to different spots in the order, and I suppose it's something a couple of the guys have had to do on this tour?
Yeah, look, it's just part of the job, I guess. Whether you're adapting to different conditions like playing in India or different positions in the batting order, at the end of the day, it's all similar in terms of you build a partnership with the guy at the other end and try and rotate the strike early and then build the innings and then hit the boundary. So it's all similar, but then I guess the pressures are a little bit different facing the new ball compared to being at the end.
And do you think you'll sort of keep that flexibility, I suppose, looking at the World Cup, that it might change game to game, or do you think like from the start of that tournament, hopefully it's set and you've got like a set role for the whole tournament?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We've obviously got 2 big players coming back for us, so that will change the dynamic of the side again. And I'm sure that the selection panel would love a settled team, but at the moment when you're not winning as many games as you want, then it just makes things hard.
Got to go 3-0 now. What gives you guys the confidence that you can do that?
Well, we won the 2 2020s. Leading into this, they were 2 big games. We've lost 2 close games after that, so we've had our opportunities in both games to win, in every single game to win, as have India. So I think we know how close the 2 teams are, and you take your opportunities, put them under pressure, and hopefully 3-0 or out of the next 3 anyway.
What does it mean to be able to compete with India? India, you went to England last year, it'll be 5-0. Now you're playing against one of the hardest teams in the world in their conditions and really mixing it with them.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. I feel like the team's gelling and has come a long way since England last year. And I feel like individually players are stepping up. We saw Maxi in the 2020s. Even the way Petey Hanscom batted last night, I thought he was close to cracking the game open for us. Aussie started really well. Finchie's coming back to some form there last night, looked good. Paddy Cummins bowled the house down. So there's people that are starting to individually come up, and then as collectively as a team, that's the next step.
I guess you just got to get Virat early.
Get Virat early, get Dhoni early, and then one of the other guys might step up, so get them early, and then get Shikhar early, and then get Rohit early, I reckon, and then we should be right.
You mentioned Pat, just how impressive was he with the new ball? Yes.
Yeah, he bowled well, didn't he? There was a little bit in the wicket, but not too much. Bowled fast. I don't know what his figures were at the end. Did he take 4? 4 for 20. Yeah, 4 for 20 off 10. So, yeah, he's a superstar, but he's number 1 ranked test bowler in the world, so we probably don't need to talk about him anymore. He was just talking about himself at breakfast just then, so yeah, I'll leave that one.
And you mentioned Justin earlier, just sort of big picture, like the whole tour. How's he been? You've obviously known him for quite a while, but just this sort of unique challenge of being in India. Is he throwing up any kind of left field mantras, or what's the chat been like with him?
No, he's been good. It's been walking around the field with no shoes on. I'm sure he's doing his meditation in the mornings. But no, we've got a good vibe going on in the group. Obviously, it's a high pressure environment in India. The crowds have been fantastic. So I think as a coaching staff and as a coach, he's understood that he needs to balance that out on the other end of the spectrum. So we've trained hard, but then we've also just been able to chill out outside of that. And then the main thing for reviewing games is just making sure we're learning, making sure we're taking something away and moving forward, which is what we all should be doing.
Yeah. How do you keep that, I suppose, that balance of being chilled out and sort of his other side as well, looking at the World Cup and the Ashes as well? It's obviously like an intense kind of period and a long time away from home. How do you kind of replicate this kind of atmosphere that the team has here? Yeah,
exactly. It's a long time away from home. If you're going to play in the World Cup and IPL and the Ashes, you won't be home till the end of September. So I think it's important that just keep a level-minded, sort of level playing field. Everyone sort of makes sure that we understand there's a long journey ahead, not get too caught up in every little moment that happens. Long time away from home, long time away from family. So I think the way we've handled ourselves so far is pretty good. And as long as we're learning again, and as long as we win these next 3 games, everyone's going to be happy.
And what about yourself personally? Like, do you get much of a break after IPL, or are you pretty much straight into that World Cup training camp?
Straight from IPL, hopefully touch wood to Brisbane for the training camp, and then we're off to England.
So no time at home?
No, I won't be home for a while. Yeah.